This week I learned my 2 out of 3 hobbies rule always rings true. Hey, what's up, bookworms? Mike back with another weekly update, the first of the month of June, guys, coming up on that halfway point of 2023. Just zipping on by, isn't it? What a year, what a year. So many things to talk about from this week, so we're going to jump right into it. Like usual, guys, we're going to talk about what am I reading? Well, I did finish Of Darkness and Light by Mr. Ryan Kyle. This is book number 2 in the Bound and the Broken series, guys. Now, I already kind of talked about this in my my roundup or my wrap-up for the month of May. But in case you missed it, I'm going to kind of have to talk about a couple of those books again. For all the people who had the concerns after book number 1, that they felt like, this kind of feels very familiar. This has a lot of Wheel of Time stuff in it. This has a lot of Aragon in it. You have no fear going forward because this one definitely takes a spin of its own delights. I think that what... it has that thing where it feels like it's paying homage or it's tipping a hat to some things, but even more so than book 1, I feel like this one really takes on a life of its own, something very, very original. There's nothing really you're going to feel like, hey, they did this in this series or that. I don't know. I kind of guess it depends on how much fantasy you've read. But what I really liked about this one was that he introduced so many new areas, new characters, and he never made you feel overwhelmed. A lot of these cases, these books, if they introduce too many characters too fast, too many lands too fast, I feel like you're going to start to feel a little overwhelmed. Going to feel like you're reading a Malazan book or something like that. It's amazing that he has like about 7 or 8 different parties that you're following over the course of the story, and you never once feel like, okay, can we slow down and stick with it? He's not hopping around too much. He never lets you stay away from someone so long you're like, man, I really wish I knew what was going on with Kaylin. You know, you never feel like that. I think he paces it very, very well. For the fact that this is like an 800-page book, guys, it actually flew by pretty quick. So I think that it's not one of those things where I feel like, because I didn't feel like book 1 had that many problems, really. But I definitely think it's the one where like, okay, he definitely came into his own here, and he's got a great idea that he's following along with. And I can't wait to talk to Ryan on Tuesday. We should be doing that. And I got all kinds of questions for him now that I am 2/3 of the way through the available books at the moment. So Darkness and Light, guys, I think if you just liked Bound and Broken, I hope you'll keep going because I think you're really, really going to like book number 2, which is Of Darkness and Light. I also finished The Giver, guys, by Lois Lowry. That turned out to be a 2-day read for me because I started reading it late and I didn't get to finish it that night. But it is something you probably could finish really quick. I think what's amazing about The Giver is that so many people were like, oh my God, you didn't read that in junior high? Well, no, thanks for making me feel ancient, guys, because it came out when I was a freshman in high school. I was already moved on to Crichton and King and Anne Rice and rereading Dune 1,200 times at that point in my life. So I didn't really hear about this book until recently. Now, it seems like I'm hearing about it everywhere, but I can see why now. And now that I've read it, I see like there's so many things that feel like it borrowed from this. Now, I don't know, guys. I haven't read a ton of the old school sci-fi. I'm sure she might have borrowed some of those ideas. But kind of just looking at the clock and where she wrote that and a lot of things I've seen that have similar comparisons since then, seems like a lot of those people were influenced greatly by this book. I can think of Unsold by Will White really followed this. Fallout 3 really seemed to kind of follow this. Lots of things, movies, TV shows, books, all these things seem like they have understandably kind of really fell in with the ideas that Lois Lowry presents, and that especially the first third of the book in the setup. But I think it's a really cool book because of the ideas it presents and some of the thought-provoking nature of it. You're going to kind of be like, oh my God, wow, what's she thinking there? But with me, there was one point where I'm like, Jesus, they let you guys read this in junior high? So there is a couple of things that will make your eyes grow real wide while you're reading it. So I had some people be like, oh, what is it? They don't know about it. And I told them, they're like, oh, well, I just stay away from it's not that kind of YA guy. It's not the kind of YA where you're like, oh, it's got all those love triangle trip. It doesn't have any of that stuff that modern YA that drives us up a wall. It's just approachable, accessible for those younger audiences, I think. So I really don't think it's one of those, it isn't going to matter how old you are. I mean, sure, if you're wanting like a 500, 600-page epic, that ain't it, guys. It's under 200 pages. But it does leave an ending that's going to have you questioning some things. And I do know there are other books in the series. A lot of people have told me I probably should stay away from them because they're not that great. But again, I think that your mileage is going to vary on that. But as far as The Giver goes, yeah, the hype was well met. I can see why so many people put that book so high on their list of must-read books. They say before, age 20, but I really don't think it matters how old you are. I think you can get a lot of things out of it, no matter how old you are. I'm 44 years old, and I got a lot out of it. And I can see how influential it was. So definitely worth your time. Don't pay no attention to the label of young adult. I think that no matter how old you are, you'll find something there that will probably click with you. And guys, I think that's pretty much it for what I did read. I did start reading something else. Let's go ahead and put that in. What am I going to read? I did start The Will of the Many by James Islington. This is the follow-up, guys, to Lycanius. Now, it's a new series. It isn't connected or anything like that. But I said because of Lycanius, I liked it so much that no matter what he put out, I was going to try next. Only about 20% into the book here. The thing about this, guys, is the font in here is really small. It is really small. It's smaller than usual. So you see the size of this book, you're like, oh, it looks like a normally sized, modern fantasy book. The font is tiny, so much so that I was reading it on my Kindle last night, just because I was tired of straining my eyes to see it. So I don't know if that was a printing thing or if they were trying to get. I know that they are having things with paper shortages and things like that. Maybe that's a decision they decided to make. But I compared it to Brian Lee Durfee's books, who was also printed on Saga Press. And the font is smaller by comparison. So I don't know if that was a strategic move. Is that just something they decided to do to kind of get the page numbers down? Not really sure. But it made me feel extremely ancient, being like, wow, this font's so tiny. I feel like I've got to get like this to read, So that's why I did kind of switch to my Kindle one last night, just because, I had my contacts in because we went to the pool. I like to wear the contacts were in the pool because, who wants to wear glasses in the pool? Anyway, I derail all the time on this channel, don't I? But anyway, I had my contacts in. It was making it really difficult to read, so I just put my glasses on. I was kind of going the thing where I was going over the glasses and under the glasses. I finally said, let me just switch to the Kindle, and I was fine. So, I don't know. But as far as the book goes, guys, I'm liking where it's at. It's one of those things where it's kind of confusing at first because it has all those Roman titles, like Septimus and Sextus and Octavii and things like that. Things that might seem a little rough at first. If you've read, I think, like Codex Alera or other great Roman history things, I think you'll be okay with it. But again, it doesn't take away from the book. It just might seem like a lot at first because of the titles. But now that it's starting to settle in, like I said, about the 20% mark, I'm seeing what the main story is going to be. And I'm very interested. I can see where the comparisons to Red Rising are coming from. I don't think it's even close. It doesn't feel derivative, at all. I can see some comparisons between Darrow and Vis for sure, but it definitely doesn't feel like, well, I'm just reading Red Rising with new names on it. No. But what I'll say is I feel like fans of Red Rising are probably going to like it. So, I'd say go ahead and pick it up. Don't know how it's going to go the rest of the way, but I've heard 100% positive things about this book from people who have finished it already. And so far, I'm liking it quite a bit as well. Don't know exactly where it's going, but I think I like where it is headed, if that makes sense to you guys. So that's probably what I'll be doing pretty much the rest of this week. On deck after that, I've got The Expanse coming up. I got the short story of The Churn, which is Amos's backstory. And then, of course, The Bowl of Burn, which is book number 4 of The Expanse. Going to be doing one of those per month, guys, until I finish The Expanse. It's going to be very, very exciting. I don't know about The Lost Hero, guys. I don't know when we're going to get back to that. I have no idea. I keep saying that I'm leaving it up to my son. Whenever he wants to read it, we'll read it. But he is choosing to stay up late for that extra time and play Zelda. And I can't blame him. I've been doing kind of the same. How about this week on the channel, guys? Had to talk about nothing. And I had the wonderful Kayla from Kay's Hidden Shelf on the channel. We talked about 2+ hours. She's a delight. I think she's really just a sweet person, and she's just so relaxed. I love how relaxed she is. I wish that I feel like people come on the channel all the time and tell me that I'm chill, but then people will also tell me I talk too fast, which it's funny because my wife tells me that too. I don't know. I think there's something about her persona that's just calming. We talked about ASMR came up in that. She says a lot of people tell her that she should do ASMR. I've gotten that before too, but I don't really even understand exactly what I think. It's just like you make sounds. I don't have it has anything to do with your voice, at all. But anyway, it was an interesting conversation. Lots of cool things came up in it. I want to thank her for taking the time to do it. She's awesome. I hope you guys will check her channel out, give her a subscribe and a follow on the socials, because she's a totally positive influence, guys. And I think we all could use more positive influences in our life. Then I did my book review for the week, which was Lonesome Dove, guys. Lonesome Dove, obviously. If you missed the video yesterday, it might be in my book of the month. I don't know. Was it up for it or not? Yeah, it was. If you've watched this channel at all, if you watched the weekly updates, you knew that Lonesome Dove was going to be my book of the month. And, of course, if you watched that review especially, because I said that, guys, that's not just my book of the month. That's going to be hard-pressed to be beat for my book of the year. It's an absolutely astounding book, and I think even if you're not into Westerns, you're going to find something to enjoy about that book. If you are character first, like I am, guys, you're going to have a challenge to find any book that does characters as good as Larry McMurtry does in that, because it's just an amazing journey, and you just want to spend time with those characters. So I hear a lot of people say that about Robin Hobb books. A lot of people say that about Wheel of Time books. If you just like to spend time with those characters, that's it, man. That might be the best I've ever read. And I do say that's not recency bias. That's not hyperbole, guys. I'm going to feel like this for quite a while, because I finished Lonesome Dove 2 weeks ago, and I can't stop thinking about it. And, you know, it just left a permanent mark on me. It has left permanent scars on my heart. And it's a story that is just beautiful and amazing, and I can't wait to continue with that series, honestly, because in that review, Brian Lee Durfee dropped in and said he thought that Streets of Laredo was even better. And I'm like, wow, okay. So that we'll see about that. We'll be talking with Brian about Lonesome Dove here pretty soon. It's going to be exciting times ahead. And then, of course, I just talked about my monthly wrap-up for May of 2023. You know, channel growth, biggest videos, you know, my book of the month, obviously everything that I read for the month. I enjoy doing a wrap-up because it makes you think back to, man, wow, I really read all that this month, or I could have read probably more this month. It's one of those things where, you know, I only read like 5 books last month, but, you know, and 2 of them were novellas. You count it. One was a novella, and I don't even know if it counts as a novella. Would you count The Giver as a novella? Again, novella, novel. I never really clear on those things, you know. But I read Lonesome Dove. I read Of Darkness and Light. I read Dark Age. These are just big, beefy books, you know. So if you're going by word count, I think it was a normal month for me. I don't know. Goodreads people all the time are posting these stats and stuff. I can't figure out how to find those. But anyway, I have no idea how many pages that I read or words that I read this month or whatever, but it felt like a normal month to me. But again, I do enjoy doing those wrap-ups and looking at, you know, what videos resonated with you guys, which ones did not. And yeah, just looking at everything that you read for the month. How about some next week plans, guys? I already talked about Ryan Cahill. Well, I got a double hit coming for you of Ryan Cahill. One of the biggest questions I get for people who get interested in The Bound and the Broken is, well, should I read A Blood and Fire first or The Fall first? So I am going to do a double review, guys. I'm going to review The Fall and A Blood and Fire as one thing, and I'm going to tell you the answer to the question of which I think you should read first and why. You know what? I did it a certain way. I'm going to tell you if I thought that was the best way to do it, or if I think I should have done it the other way around. But I'm going to talk about both of those because I think that this is a series that has really just, you know, it's popular, especially for a self-pub author. It's really popular, but I feel like it is really just getting bigger and bigger. And I've had a few people who started reading it when I have, and they're all like saying, like, wow, this is way better than I even anticipated. So I'm excited to talk about that series and why I think that you should probably go ahead and check out The Fall and or Of Blood and Fire. And then on Tuesday night, guys, live, we'll be talking with Ryan Cahill on the channel. So if you guys want to ask him any questions, I do have a community post up. There you guys can tell me what you want me to talk about with him. But, you know, he and I have been talking for months now. I have no doubt that we're going to have any problems discussing things. But really, I just kind of want to pick his brain about this whole self-pub thing, about how he has seemed to find a way to crack the code that a lot of other self-pub authors haven't. And he's 100% independent. He is the writer, director, producer. He doesn't hand anything off except for artwork. So that's something that I think I really want to know about. So I think if you are a small-time writer that's looking to get into the game, I think it would behoove you to maybe listen to that conversation. I don't think we'll be talking spoilers about the book, so you're fine with that. But I do think that you know, you want some ideas for success. I think that he is going to be given some nuggets of what worked for him, and I love having those things, guys. And then I'll be doing my book haul for May, and then it'll officially be the end of May here on the channel. So always love a good book haul. It's a lot of fun, lots of cool things that I got this month, and I can't wait to talk about them and tell you guys thank you. But before I go, guys, there are some TV and movie talk things, and one of them is very much book related. Obviously, you guys know I'm a big fan of The First Law by Joe Abercrombie. We got humongous news from Joe himself that they are going to be, right now the plan is to adapt Best Served Cold. That's the first of the standalone books in the First Law universe about Mansa and her revenge tour. And guys, this is exciting for me because several reasons. One, Joe wrote the script. He wrote the script, so you ain't got to worry about it being handed off to some Hollywood idiot like those idiots that run the Witcher show and think that they're smarter than the actual author is. You don't have that problem. So Joe's written the script. Tim Miller's the director. Tim Miller is a humongous fan of Joe Abercrombie's books. And again, I think Best Served Cold, if you're going the movie route, not streaming or a series or a miniseries, anything like that, if you're going just a single standalone movie, I think that's a great place to start with the First Law universe. Now, obviously, the hope is it's a really big hit, and you see there's interest in that, and one of these streaming services say, okay, we're taking the original First Law trilogy to pre-production. That's the hope. That's always the hope with something like this. But even Joe said himself in that series of tweets, I've been trying to get this done for years, guys, and I know that this can all turn to shit in a moment. So nothing's set in stone. You know, a lot of times, a lot of movies are in pre-production, and they still never materialize. But as far as this goes, also, I guess I should mention that Rebecca Ferguson was cast as Mansa. That's pretty awesome, right? She definitely seems like she's becoming like the sci-fi fantasy sweetheart. You know, she's in Dune, she's doing Silo right now. So I mean, that's awesome. I think that's a great cast. Not exactly how I would have imagined Mansa, but I have a hard time getting upset about Rebecca Ferguson because I think she's really, really great. And I mean, for me, it's just going to be, who do they cast as Casca, Nakoma Casca? Because that's, besides Glockner, that's probably my favorite character in the First Law universe. That's key for me. The funny thing is, when I was reading it the first time, I was imagining Pedro Pascal, who I'd only really seen on Narcos at the time. Now he's in everything. And so it's like one of those things where I'm like, yeah, you could probably still nail it, but it's just like, I think he might be a little bit of Pedro overexposure at the moment. But anyway, this is fun to know when we start getting a little further down the road and start fan casting some of these things. But I think it could be really, really great if it's R-rated and it feels like First Law. These two work together on Love, Death, and Robots. So I think they've got a working relationship there. Tim Miller, apparently, like I said, is very, very much a defender of those books. So I just don't see this getting the hatchet job unless some Hollywood exec just says, no, we can't do this. We got to do this, this, and this, which is always possible. It's always possible, you guys. But we shall see. It's really cool to see First Law movie news out there, you know, because I've been wanting this made ever since I read it like back in 2008. I thought this would make really, really great streaming. So the fact that we're getting a movie, hey, I'll take what I can get. And if it gets more eyes on that series, man, that's obviously what I do want. My kid and I watched John Wick 4 last night. Here's what I'll say about it. I've heard a lot of people saying they think it's the best that the action's ever been in the series. Or actually, what they said was it blows away the action into it. I disagree. I feel like there's only a certain point where you can make a big shoot-'em-up scene any bigger without jumping the shark a little bit. It was awesome. Don't get me wrong, it's awesome. I don't feel like it's anything that blew away the other movies, though. With this, look, I thought it was very good. Like, I think all four movies are excellent. All four of them are excellent action movies. They really are. This one was a little long, though. I think outside the action, the story was probably the slowest that's been out of the four. And my my oldest son agreed with me on that regard. He said it could have been about 30 minutes shorter, and I agree. There's a thing about him getting like a ticket mended. You know, if you know, you know. That plot line probably could have been cut out, and it probably would have made the movie about 30 minutes shorter. But I think it was a very satisfying ending. In fact, I'm actually kind of upset now that they're talking about John Wick 5, because it is kind of the perfect ending, and it kind of feels like we're going to kind of be cheated now. It kind of has that feeling of like, I can't say that. It's a spoiler. If you haven't watched John Wick 4 yet, I don't want to say that. I'll get on the Discord, guys, and I'll spoiler talk to you about the ending of John Wick 4 and why I think making a John Wick 5 will be a mistake. It'll be a mistake, and I'll tell you about that comparison that I was going to make to Avengers Endgame. And it'll be a weird comparison, but that's where I'm at. But hey, I did like it, and I think 4 awesome movies in any franchise is more than anyone could ask for. So, if it keeps going, I understand they like money, and these movies they're all making more and more money, and John Wick has become a pop culture icon now. So I get it. I definitely get it. But it's just like, you shouldn't have ended the movie the way that you did if you didn't want that to be the end of the story. That's kind of how I felt. It felt perfect, and I don't feel like they're going to be able to carry on from there without just ruining some of the weight of this fourth movie. But yeah, awesome guys. I haven't had a bad John Wick movie yet, so it'd be kind of seems weird to be complaining about getting more of it, right? But there's some point where it's like, hey, you know what? It's better to burn out, baby, than it is to fade away. I guess the only gaming stuff I got before I go, guys, and I kind of joked about there at the beginning, the 2/3 rule is trying to watch the Succession finale, trying to keep up with Silo, watch John Wick. My rule is if you have 3 big hobbies, and for me that's reading, that's movies, TV, and that's video games. I only have enough time in my life with my job, with this, to do 2 out of 3 at one time. And trying to do all 3 of those right now, it's not working. It's not working. I'm stretching myself a bit thin. And I just told my wife today, I was like, look, Diablo 4 comes out on Tuesday. And I was like, so anything you want to watch, we need to do it now. And she's like, no, we got Succession done. I'm good. We'd like to still be able to keep up on Silo, but we'll see. But Diablo 4, guys, if you don't know, the Diablo games are a complete time suck. They will completely take over your life if you aren't careful. We aren't done with Zelda yet. So it's like, well, goodbye real life. It's like the point where we're like just, telling the kids to go get a pizza or something because we don't have time to cook for them right now. It's at parts where if you are a gamer family, it is really hard. As far as Diablo 4 goes, the reviews are great. The only negatives I'm seeing on it have to deal with PvP online multiplayer stuff, and we only play couch co-op. So that's fine with me. I'm not going to have any problems there. But it's awesome. I know there's some people who are like, it still just looks like Diablo 3, but with like a fresh coat of paint. I wish I kind of changed it up. Me, I'm like, it ain't broke, don't fix it. Look, I love all these photorealistic games, all these open world games and stuff. Sometimes you just need some hack and slash, baby. And that's what it looks like. Diablo 4 is going to give me exactly what I need after all this, this open world and RPGing that I've been doing lately. It'd be fine to just do a nice little loot dropper, hack and slash. I'm excited for it. Can't wait. We played part 3. I think when we got a PS4 and we got Diablo 3 on it, like Ultimate Edition or whatever. Didn't play Diablo 3 before that because I wasn't a PC gamer yet. And I think we played that for like 10 hours, and it was before kids, and it was great. So Diablo 4, I'm excited. Obviously, if you're into those games, I think you're going to have a lot of fun. I've had a lot of people already ask me what character or what build are you going to use. My wife is always like a magic or a range user, so I'm usually, to balance it out, I'm usually just like the up-close muscles. I'm probably going to go barbarian, make me a nice little Conan character. Should be a lot of fun. But hey, Diablos, guys, that game is just so fun. And you don't even really have to know much. I think that's a great RPG starter for you, because really it is all you're doing is equipping the best weapons, the best magic, and things like that, and just beating the crap out of every enemy on the screen. It's great. It's a great game. Great series. Cannot wait. And the thing is like, me and my wife are watching like some of the things, them talking about the story, and I'm like, I don't think I even remember the story from Diablo games. I just like to punch things in the face real hard. So if you want to get in the story, it's really good. It's really good. So there we go, guys. That was my week. Hope you guys are having a great weekend. We're just kind of chilling around the house. Like I said, just reading some of this and waiting for my turn to play Tears of the Kingdom. So drop in the comments, guys, and let me know what you are up to this weekend. What are you watching? What are you reading? What are you listening to? What are you playing? I would love to hear about it. So hit me there, guys, and I'll talk to you then.